Everyone, I'm about to introduce to you thriller writer Emily Arsenault and her book, The Last Thing I Told You. It is mind blowing, okay? I read these thrillers and I tell you guys this time and time again, but this one is so mind blowing. I cannot wait to talk to her. And really, I'm not sure how we're going to talk about it, so I'm going to let her decide. And already my hair is getting on my nerves, but I'm going to let her decide how to talk about this because I don't know what to say. It's so amazingly good. So everyone, here is Emily. Hi, everyone. I am so excited because I am speaking with author Emily Arsenault, and we are talking about her brand new book that is out this week called The Last Thing I Told You. And she has it in her hands. She's going to show us this cover because it is amazing. Okay. And those colors like that pink, hold it up again. Just want to see. Yeah, I just love the colors on this. And, when I was first looking at it online, I couldn't tell like the background. And then, after I got done reading it, I took a closer look and I was like, oh, it's such a good background. So anyway, thank you so much for talking with me, Emily.
Oh, thanks for having me. Yeah, I really loved the cover too when I first saw it. At first, actually, it was this cover, but there was kind of a silhouette of a person in that path. But eventually, they took that out, and I think it actually works better with the simplicity of just like the
Yeah.
branch. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have to tell you, I thought that because I've been seeing so many that are profiles. That's why I wanted to look at it really close because I was like, is there a profile I'm missing? Maybe it's, both. Maybe there's like that and then, like it, but I'm like, no, okay, it's just that picture and it's amazing. And, you have to read it. But anyway, I did like an intro to this. I always do an intro to introduce you. And I told everybody that, to say this book is mind blowing is like there are no stronger words I have. I love this book so much. I love a good thriller, but this was it grabbed me right away and all the way through to the last word.
You hear that?
Yeah, I know. I know that's the point, right? That's what you're trying to do. But I don't know how to summarize this without giving away anything, so I'm going to let you do it.
Okay. Um, well, it begins with there's a therapist who's found dead in his office, and I've had lots of interesting reactions when I've actually just told that part of it. A therapist found dead in his office. But it's told from two different points of view. One is from the investigator who, needs to figure out who did this, and then the other narrator. So that's a male narrator. The other narrator, the female narrator, is a former patient of this therapist. And in fact, she was a patient of his many years ago. And she left town years and years ago because people thought she was really weird because she did something very disturbing as a teenager, which is why she went to the therapist. And she has finally come back. And, it's an odd coincidence that the week she's come back, her old therapist is found dead in his office, and evidence indicates that she was there, visiting him again. So that's a little odd. So the investigator tries to figure that out. So that's the basic premise of the story.
Right. That was like as much as I would say, because I just so didn't want to give anything away because it's hard to talk. Some thrillers are just hard to talk about. And, this is one of them without giving anything because you just had me going. Ugh. Anyway, I'm going to read some. From the very beginning. This is not a giveaway. Just because I like to show people like where I will read a whole thriller and then I go back and I read that first chapter again. And in your book's case, it was the prologue just to see the setup. Because even if I read it all at, one day, I still forget that setup. And then it makes me see how brilliant you are, okay? And your beginning was absolutely brilliant. So the end of the prologue says, "This is you, this is real, this is what you've done, this will always be what you've done."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh my God. Right there, you got me like at hello because now I can't stop reading.
Well, thanks. That line, "This will always be what you've done," was really important to me writing the book because it's a thread that runs through the whole book.
Yes.
The female narrator, you find out fairly early on in the book what is the thing she's done,
Yeah.
but it's important. Uh, it varies throughout the story how important that thing she did is to her as to other people,
Right.
or what they think of her and what they think that means for her future and what she could have also have done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that line.
That is the line. Yeah, that is the line that grabbed me. I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to read the rest of this book. And, because it's such an important, I feel like that is like the breaking point for a thriller. It's like right there, you have to get us, to like want to go read more. And you absolutely did that. And I'm telling these 2 points of views were written brilliantly. The timeline's about 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah, okay. And then it's like going back and forth. I love your short chapters because there's not a word wasted. Everything means something, which as a reader, I also enjoy so much. It's like, it's nice and tight, I like to call it, as I'm reading it. I'm like, oh, I love this. I think a thriller is the book where short chapters really matter because it keeps that pace going, especially between the two narrations. And you were just brilliant. And I look back and I see, I mean, this is not a new your first book. This is like your 7th book, right?
Yes, right.
Were they all thrillers?
Well, using that term loosely, yes. Loosely. They all have some suspense element, but they're all different. I don't have any sequels to anything, and some of them are a little more literary, academic. I wouldn't necessarily use those labels, but I've seen other people use them, where often I've researched some topic that's kind of woven into the suspense. Like a few books ago, it was a suspense book, but I had the main character was a PhD student who just couldn't ever seem to get her PhD, and she was studying this female mystic named Marjorie Kemp. And she just kept working on her thesis over and over and over. And, one of these people just can't seem to finish their thesis. So there was a lot about Marjorie Kemp, the female mystic, in the book, even though it was a suspense book about something else. So I think that having that kind of element appeals to some readers, but not to others. So I think, with this book, I tried to be a little faster paced, and there wasn't really that academic element in it. Yeah, so I mean, I think that something that made a difference for me in between this book and the previous adult book was in between I wrote a young adult book. Mm-hmm. And I think with young adult, you really do have to pick up your pace a little bit and have each chapter, you don't really meander into an academic topic with young adult because you'll probably lose your audience. So I think that experience led pretty naturally to this experience of trying to do a little bit more straight suspense rather than the kind of quirky suspense.
Was it fun to write this book? Because it seemed like you were having so much fun with it.
Yeah, it really was. I think as I've gotten a little older, I've become a little bolder with some of my female narrators. The last adult book, there's a character who, she's in the 19th century, who's probably a little bit unbalanced. And, I just, more and more as I've gotten older, experiment with that a little bit. I really was wondering what people would think of the female narrator of this book, Nadine, because she's highly flawed. She's really kind of scary in the beginning, but I really tried to explore why she is that way and hope that some readers would have some sympathy for her. And I think the thing that was my favorite thing to write in this book was her therapy sessions. Yes. It's writing a full therapy session is very different from writing probably almost any other type of dialogue, because the way people conduct themselves in a therapy session is so different from regular social life. And I think particularly a therapy session with a teenager who might not be as reserved in a therapy session as an adult would, even though it's therapy, would probably kind of mask themselves in a different way than I think Nadine does in a teenager. She might think she's masking herself a great deal, but I think most readers would think she's not doing a great job.
Yeah,
So,
I loved when you went back and forth with her and Mark, you know. I love that I don't know, it was like there was so much tension, but
mhm.
I loved reading it. Like that was one of my favorite parts about the book. And then being in her head, you know. I loved like reading her thoughts and really, and I do think you did really well in making us sympathize with her as it went. But I don't know, I just enjoyed, it was just crazy, I just enjoyed being like in Nadine's head, you know. So I was like, she must be having so much fun with this. That's what I kept thinking the whole time. So
I really did have a lot of fun being in her head, and I've had very different reactions from people. I mean, the book isn't out yet, but just people who I've showed
right.
it to, or reviews, where some people I think sympathize a great deal with Nadine by the end, and some I think are still suspicious of her by the end, and still very much see see Henry, the main character, as their main character. They're going to stick with
Yes.
him. You know,
Yes.
Nadine is throughout a little suspect to
Right.
them, and that's not how I felt about her by the end. But I can see why some readers
Right.
will continue to feel that way even to the end.
Well, it is such a fun book. I am so happy that I read it. And I know, like, this is a crazy time for you. As we're filming this, you're doing all your, you know, leading up to release week and, you know, and everything that entails. But do you have anything in the works for after this?
Oh, what I'm writing right now?
Yes.
Yeah, I just finished a young adult book, and I probably shouldn't say that much about that because I don't know if it will come out, but it was a little experimental. And then I'm I'm also working on an adult book now that the draft of that young adult book is done. And the adult book I'm working on now is based a little bit on the setting I'm living in now, where it's kind of rural New England, and there's a lot of tension between the parents of children who go to the same elementary school and how that leads to some trouble. So
Well,
that's basically what my
I
next
can't
project is.
wait. Okay, because
Thank you.
I love your writing so much. I cannot wait to read your next book. I'm like, I'm going back and I'm reading some of your other books because it's just it's so amazing. And like I said, like I just feel like you write it so tight and it's just so enjoyable. And I love reading YA, by the way. I
Oh, really?
Oh, absolutely. I review them all the time and I love reading YA. And I think that there are so many YA books that adults do like. I don't think I'm the only person. I might be a little bit crazy because I read a lot of them, but I do enjoy them. And I find myself really getting hooked on their stories. And I'm like, wow, this is a really good book. So I don't think they're just for, you know, teens. So
No, definitely not.
yeah. But anyway, show that cover one more time. I'm going to have all of Emily's links listed below. And when this airs, you will be able to hit that Amazon link and you'll be able to go. Can you hold it up just a little bit further on the camera just so they can see the bottom? Oh, there we go. I cannot say enough about this. I've been telling people, I read this a couple of days ago, and I've told like a dozen people already. I'm like, you have to read this book. You have to read this book. So I wish you all the success for this book, and I can't wait to see what everybody else says about it.
Well, thanks a lot. Thanks for reading it, and thanks for chatting with me.
Yeah, and so all her links will be listed below. Thank you so much, Emily. You know where to find me for your next book. I will definitely read it. I don't care if it's YA. I'll still read it. So.
Okay.
All right, have a great day. Bye.
You too. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. If you made it this far, you've heard me tell her how amazing this book is at least 25 times. Okay, I try to control myself, but I just keep telling them over and over again, especially when I get a thriller like this in my hands. I cannot say it enough, and so I hope I didn't embarrass her, but, you know, maybe she liked hearing me tell her how many times I loved her book. Like I said, all of her links are going to be listed below. This book is out. You're going to be able to order it, hit the Amazon link, and thank you for watching.